Hi guys, my name is Cameron Wilson, and welcome to the video of creating an e-portfolio. And this video will cover mainly about writing an e-portfolio for writers in particular. I recently just finished up a semester of my university writing course, and we discussed the beauty and the importance rather of inquiry. Now, for those of you who don't know of inquiry, I'll just quickly summarize it. It's basically contributing to a conversation that's already being held. So you can really write an inquiry about anything you want, basically, as long as it pertains to any conversation that's being held among, other contributors or academic, sources. So this right here, I will walk you through the process of writing an e-portfolio. Now, this right here, of course, is the main page, and I kind of based my ePortfolio concept of climbing a mountain. Because it says, up here, Cameron Wilson, new writer, growth of a student, and growing through the climb to the top. So, as a writer, anywhere where you start basically is at the beginning. Before you put anything down on paper, you always have to think of an idea. And as you start to put words on the paper, you start to climb up to the top. And when you reach to the end of your idea, of your essay, of your inquiry, whatever, you will have reached the top of the mountain. So right here, I will talk with you guys about a bit about my experience through not only the U-Write course, but also writing me as a writer in general. So I would say it's kind of an emotional transition. When you go into college, of course, you feel ambitious. You're confident, like, hey, I got into college, yay me, all that good old stuff. Um, so you start out with ambition. You're kind of thinking like, all right, I don't know how this is gonna go. Me as a writer, I just came out of a few AP classes, so I think I have an idea of what I'm doing as a writer, even though you may not like it at the time, but you've done it enough to where you think you know what you're doing. But then comes the next stage, and that is frustration. And frustration really comes from, the length of the course, the time, the amount of work that you really didn't think you needed to put in, you actually have to put into certain writing pieces. And so you'll have to comb through multiple research sources. You have to go through multiple sites, sort and source that through that material and things like that. So you have to really come up with your own raw material at times well, mainly in terms of ideas, not necessarily content, but really ideas. That's the important part. As a writer in this stage, you're really judged upon how creative or how good are you displaying your talents. How good of a advertiser are you? Because in this day and age, when you write, at least at a collegiate level, people will be looking at your identity. They'll be looking at how you write. Because writing, it can be seen as a form of personality displayment. For instance, if you were to take a look at me right now, you probably don't know what I look like, but if I were to show you a picture of me versus a letter that I wrote, how would you be able to connect the two? Would you be able to tell that I even wrote that letter? For instance, if you just look at a picture of me, or say any given person, it doesn't have to be me, but if you look at a picture of them, you only see the physical features of that person. You see their eye color, their hair, their skin, their facial features, etc. But if you look at a letter and you read the words on the page, you get a sense of identity of that person that you would not see with your eyes just by looking at that person. You get to see how they write, their diction. You get to see, their type of style, how they communicate, how they connect with people, and more importantly, how they connect with the reader, which would be you. And next stage from frustration, we move to understanding, and that's kind of ties into what I was just talking about. Understanding that connection, that relationship between author and writer. That is one of the main key points that I learned, I would say, in my U Write class. Another um, key idea that I thought of was that I got to know was inquiry, and I'll take it that page right now. I'm just going to share a few pages that I have on my ePortfolio. I'm not going to share all of them. I'm not going to waste your time, but um, writing inquiry, as I said before, it's contributing to a conversation that's already being held, and you can write about anything basically. As long as you have sources to back yourself up, and you're not arguing. Let's get that straight. You're not necessarily arguing like, oh, this person is right, this person is wrong. No, you're only bringing new ideas to the table. You are bringing something that hasn't necessarily been said in the past by the other contributors. And this right here on my ePortfolio, this is a link to my digital article that I created based upon my inquiry statement. And for our class, mainly, it was about the popular music studies. So I talked about how classical music, it may not be as connected with people as it once was in the past, as opposed to other popular music of today. You can think of numerous titles, and I'm not going to go through that because that's not why you're watching this video. But anyway, let's see what other. Yes, looking back. So I stated that one of the main things that I learned from this writing course is that understanding the connection between a writer and the author. I'm sorry, the author and the reader. Um, and one of the things that I really found astounding about writing is that it is a way for us to imprint or leave our mark in the span of history and time. When you think about it, the grand scheme of things, time just continues on. As Abraham Lincoln said, time waits for no man. So, as even though that you may be watching this video or I'm talking about this video right now, time is still going, and 100 years from now, people won't even know that we probably even existed. Unless we had, our names on a billboard or our names engraved in a star on the ground or etc. But a way that we can stake our claim to our time in history and our time right now is through writing. Think about it. I'm sure that if you're watching this video, you have read a book by an author who probably, of course, is in the same age as you, or probably isn't even alive right now. The way that they are remembered is through their writing, through their source of identity. Writing is a way that we connect with people, not only to our time and day and age, but also to people in the future, to readers in the future. And that's one of the most amazing things because that's how knowledge is passed. Think about it. When you read textbooks, you don't really read from editions that were written that same day. You probably read them from editions out and authors that wrote it, a few years ago. And it's the passing down of knowledge, the passing down of a torch that that writing really does for us as human beings. And one thing that I quote, I made a statement earlier in one of my previous works. It's not up here on this ePortfolio, but I turned it in the class that my professor really wanted to quote me on is that when we write, we live. And what I mean by that is that when we write, we share a bit of ourselves. We share a bit of our identity. We show our imagination. We show our opinion. We show just so many other things, such as how we think, how we act, how we love, how we hate certain things, and that I believe is living, not necessarily surviving, but basic instincts, but no, living as in connecting, intercommunicating with people. Again, that relationship between the author and the author and the reader. And that, in a nutshell, is really what I've taken away from my You Write class and for my development as a writer. Because if when I think about me as a writer as a younger age, let me just go to the About Me page. I really struggled with writing, to be honest. I'm more of an analytical type person. I don't really write as often as I would, solve a math problem or whatever. Um, but it wasn't until I was, forced to sit down, and just write what is on my mind. Just let my imagination run wild. Allow my personality as a writer to develop. That's when I started to understand, okay, this is just another form of communication rather than just verbally saying something to somebody. And that's one of the, you know, main points of, writing an email or writing a letter or even writing a text message to your friend. It's a way that you show a bit of yourself, a way that you um, let yourself be vulnerable for just a second, not vulnerable in a bad way where you can be attacked, but just where you show a bit of yourself, where you show your identity. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I thank you for watching, and I will leave the link to this ePortfolio as well as to my digital article in the comments. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.